day for Scotland. On the 18th of September, Scotland will answer the question, should Scotland be an independent country? An affirmative answer will change the world map, and a negative answer will change the political map for Britain forever. Either way, it's a historic moment for Great Britain. The Yes campaign versus the No Thanks, Better Together campaign have been working long and hard for a very long time. In the beginning, the poll suggested that Scotland will remain a part of the United Kingdom as people are likely to vote No Thanks, Better Together. But just 10 days ago, polls suggested that the Yes campaign for independent Scotland had a narrow lead. The prospect of a divide in the United Kingdom brought leaders of the three major political parties together. David Cameron, Ed Miliband and Nick Clegg, cancelling their schedules, landed in Scotland to appeal for a no vote. Three new polls suggested the no vote held a slender lead going into the final day of campaigning. With undecided voters excluded, all three polls suggested a lead for no of 52% to 48%.
My first question being, the margins are narrowing. What do you think the outcome could be and what impact would it have?
I still think it's likely to be a no vote, but just in the last week or so, the margins have got very narrow. The latest poll showing 53% likely to vote yes and 47% no. So it now depends on those who say they don't know which way they're going to go. My guess is that most of the don't knows will vote no, but we won't know until polling day.
But if they do vote yes, and the divorce, as I always maintain, would be acrimonious, I feel. What impact would it have on either countries?
The impact will be huge. First of all, because there will then be very big negotiations, which will take at least the next 2 years, and I think probably the next 3 to 5 years. Those would completely preoccupy the British government for the whole of the next Parliament. It would have very little time or spare capacity for other things. And I think in the rest of the UK, and in particular in England, there would be feelings initially of hurt and rejection, which could then turn into feelings of resentment and of anger.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your time. My first question is, you've done extensive survey, I just saw. Why do you think the margins have narrowed for a yes vote?
That's a very good question, and I'm sure we would all like to know precisely what's happening in terms of public opinion. I would put a couple of things forward. Firstly, I think the no side, the UK government and the Better Together campaign have continued to press the same arguments. And there might be a sense that diminishing returns are setting in. So we've heard about currency union again and again and again. And to some extent, I think people are beginning to get a bit tired of that. But they're perhaps also beginning to lose a sense that this is a credible message. I think it's revealing perhaps that there isn't anything else in the armoury on the no side. There isn't a positive vision of why Scotland's future would be better than it is now in the UK.
Even if the margin is narrow and they say no, actually English people who have been saying better together might turn around and say, you know what, if you want to go, go.
I do think people in England have a growing sense of themselves as a unit which should have its own political institutions. Not necessarily a parliament in the form that Scotland has, but perhaps special rules for dealing with English matters in the UK Parliament. And I think that is a tendency which we're likely to see more of in the coming years, the effect of which would be, even if Scotland stays within the UK, to draw clearer lines between the Scottish political system, an emerging political system for England, and those in Wales and Northern Ireland. I think we would likely see a looser set of relationships between the component parts of the UK.
Okay, and that could impact on the other parts of UK as well, maybe?
Yes, indeed. Clearly, I think if England begins to think of itself as a unit, it raises questions about its relationships with Wales and Northern Ireland, and England is so big. If you begin to think of self-government of some kind for England, it will inevitably have knock-on effects on the smaller parts of the UK.